Hello and welcome. Is that you, Becca? It's 1:23 p.m. 1:23, and I made the post. I think it was for the. I think the post for the live, or I dropped into the group and posted it. Was at 1:11, which is pretty cool. Can you hear me, Becca? I had a little. I want to say a difficulty connecting, but it was okay. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Wonder why it does that. Thank you for letting me know. It was actually like when I was trying to get it going, it was pretty laggy. So yeah. I don't know why it does that though. Good morning. Thank you for dropping in, my dear. I know it's early there. I know it's early. So I thank you. Just gonna give others an opportunity to drop in. We're gonna explore the triangle as the flow of consciousness. So I look forward to guiding everyone into that state to connect to the triangle as thought, coherence, reception, and projection. Of course, in including some of the things that I sent you in the group. So welcome, everyone. If you're able to comment, I would love to know who's here. If you're not able to comment, no worries. My name is Aoasi, and I welcome everyone to this space and to this live as we explore consciousness as a harmonic field. And we will do I will guide everyone in like a deep, well, I say deep, everyone's going to go as deep as they want, as deep as they choose, but into a state of exploration, exploring yourself, as I mentioned a minute ago, as a triangle of consciousness, and exploring each side as well as the point in how reality is, how reality exists through us. So if that sounds like something that you would enjoy receiving, I also might do some tones, which will help to open the energy bodies to receive. And when the energy bodies when the energy bodies are more open and receptive, the ability to explore this becomes a lot easier. So a lot of times we, as I'm sure many of you know, especially if you've been tuning into these lives, you know, we as a collective have been very cut off from receiving, which is why you hear a lot of people talking about right now the rise of the feminine, and really what that means is the rise of the receiver. Thank you, Sean. And the rise of the receiver is also in connection with what the planetary consciousness is referenced as. So we hear it as Mother Gaia, which obviously is referenced as a female. So with that, if we just look at what the collective has been, we've been a collective of projection. All of our human designs are projectors. And that's wonderful, Sean. I am the same way. I love giving, and I've definitely been learning how to receive more. Interestingly enough, like what I'm talking about here, I feel like sometimes we think we're open receivers until we are put in front of a mirror that invites us into greater depth. And a lot of times, our most natural reaction in our nervous system is to run away from that. We don't want to face a deeper sense of self realization, because that means we're going to be faced with our shadow aspects. And right now, the shadow aspects that have been coming forward that we have been receiving in my group space, and I posted this on Instagram as well, is connected to what everyone recognizes as the 7 deadly sins. But those 7 deadly sins, what I received was that we all come into this realm of forgetting, and we all come into those programmed sins or shadows. And so we operate unconsciously from within those 7 sins or 7 shadow aspects. And a lot of times, because it's unconscious, we're not even aware of it. What was really powerful this past week was that the word gluttony came through a sister in my group space. And I was like, oh, that word hits. It really lands. It opened me up for deeper reflection, because I have not heard that specific word in a very long time. And then in a one-on-one, not long after that, the word greed came forward. So these are shadow aspects, and we normally don't even realize what's actually happening through that space, right? Because, as I said, it's unconscious. So, with that being said, if we take an opportunity to really go deeper, we begin to look and see what's actually in operation. In the one-on-one, when I brought the word greed up at first, and I mean, she's here right now, so she knows what I'm speaking into. It wasn't necessarily the way we were going in the one-on-one. So it was really surprising at first, but also very resonant, considering that these shadow aspects are coming forward. And you hear many people talking about, I know at least it's been brought forward to my attention, that in the spiritual community, there are posts that are referencing that, you need to be aware of the karmic cycles, because if you don't hurry up and master your choices, or if you don't hurry up and close your karmic cycles, and you're going to miss the train, basically. And that's a thought belief, that's a set of thoughts that I used to have as well, is that if I don't hurry up and do the work, then I'm not going to be able to ascend. Or at least that's the way it was operating through those shadow aspects. So a sense of needing to hurry is part of escapism. If I need to hurry and do something, I need to get something done, I feel like I need to accomplish something. And then I have a sense of pride if I accomplish it. And this is where we begin to pull away from the sovereign state of awareness, where, it's easy in the collective, it's easy in the spiritual community, as you've heard me speak into, it's easy to bypass and to feed off of fear. I was actually listening to a couple, I dialed into 2 videos this morning, just out of curiosity, with really two really or a really popular and well-known, shall we say, speaker in the spiritual community. And this person's been on, like Gaia, and is pretty popular, has 100,000 views, 300,000 views. And I noticed one of the tones that was very present was still coming from separation, like, be aware of spirit, be aware of vampires, be aware of energetic vampires, be aware of these people out here, or be aware of frequencies that can attack your own frequency, that can hijack your own frequency. If you're doing all the right things and you're still feeling drained, then it's because of a spiritual vampire. But what was interesting is, throughout that entire speech and in that entire reflection, there was no follow-up to the truth, which is that internally, you are the victim and you are the perpetrator, which means that if you're experiencing like vampirism, it's because of your own thoughts. It's because of your own beliefs, and that's projected out. And therefore, there are people that come into your field and they represent those unrealized thoughts and beliefs. Obviously, we are in a collective space where we have a lot of mirrors, we have a lot of people, we have a lot of interactions, which gives us many opportunities to see our mirrors. But most people don't view the world from the state that everything is a mirror. There is still obviously the perception that that person is somehow separate from me and they can harm me, or those frequencies or those data streams can overtake my own and can somehow consume what I am. And if I'm not careful, then my frequency will be hijacked. Now, obviously, there are realities where that can exist and does exist, because anytime you have a thought, you project it into the collective stream of consciousness, and we become patterns that are magnetized together because of similarities. So if I believe that way, then I'm going to more than likely magnetize towards others that also believe and think that way, because consciousness is the universal harmonic field. Magnetism gives it form, electricity gives it motion, and thought is the interference pattern that collapses reality. So I would be more intrinsically linked with others that believe in separation. But one of the biggest things I've discovered, and one of the biggest transformations I've undergone in the last year, is to rekindle that internal state of unity. I don't see anyone as separate from me. Everyone is a reflection of me. So if I feel drained, then what is it that I believe? What is it that I think? What is it that I'm projecting out that's consuming so much of my energy? That's the vampirism. My own internal beliefs, those sins or those core beliefs, those shadow beliefs that drain me because they're consistently projecting unconsciously into the field, which means that it takes so much more force and so much more effort for me to experience peace and prosperity. And also, a lot of times these shadow aspects say they exist in such subtle nuances that unless we are an open and available receiver, we might not even become aware of them. One of the things that I posted on Instagram last night was in connection with this, because I have an offering. I'm opening my space back up to one-on-one sessions for everyone, not just my group space, and not just those that I've had a connection with. I'm inviting new people in, and of course, I'm inviting returning connections in. So when I was putting this out, I had originally had it at a price that was a range price, which is what I've been doing for a while. And there was a part of me, because I've also had some contracts that have been released, soul contracts that have stepped away. I always know that new contracts are coming in, but there was still a subtle nuance that was acting out of hope because of scarcity mindset, which means that I ended up shifting and saying, okay, instead of having this range of price, or this price range, I made it donation based. And I made it donation based because I thought it felt more free. As I felt into it deeper, and I just felt called to revisit it in my body and my nervous system, I asked the questions like, so when I offered it donation based, did my body actually open in receptivity, or did it close in hope and expectation? And at first I felt the opening, but then there was a subtle nuance of closing that was still there. It was this unconscious expectation of hope. Oh, I hope somebody will just sign up. I hope somebody will drop in. I hope somebody will receive. I hope these contracts will come in. And it was existing under the guise of freedom. If I had not given myself permission to tune back into that, I might not become aware of it. Now, to some people, that might not seem like a big deal, but we have to look at what happens when those aren't realized. Well, then, gluttony, escapism, overindulgence. If I have a scarcity mindset, if I have anything that's operating in scarcity, then I am going to over excessively chase things. I will over excessively chase people. I will chase food. I will have a need to indulge my senses into something, which then allows me to escape from the truth of what's actually present, which is that belief system. And so that's why all the other fields, and in terms of the field of consciousness, all of the realities collapse, and it's like it's requires so much force to get things to come to you. You keep working, you keep putting things out, you show up, you're doing the work, but nothing's coming in. And I also had another realization, and I was having an exchange with the architect around this. And I said, I was exchanging with the going deeper into, okay, well, if there's a depth of perception, will people want to show up? Will people actually want to exchange if I'm going to ask them to look deeper into themselves? And that's a possibility. I have learned on this pathway that a lot of times people don't want to learn about depth. They just want to gain information. They like something that enhances their nervous system and makes them feel like they're doing something exciting. And I myself have been a big part of that. And that's a part of bypassing, where I feel like I have to keep doing the next best thing and I have to go into the next best offering. And of course, I've done that myself. So one thing I want to invite you guys into is we want to look at the consciousness as a universal field. So if we're looking at that, I want to just repeat this, and I wrote some of these things down. Consciousness is the universal harmonic field. Magnetism gives it form, and electricity gives it motion. Now, if your thought is the electricity and the consciousness is the magnetism, and they're always operating, where are your thoughts going, even right now? Just give yourself a moment to be in presence with that. What realities are you bringing to you, truly? What's coming to you right now? What's your most present thought pattern based in? Is it based in unconditional acceptance, or is it based in lack and scarcity? Are you even aware of where you're operating from? Now, if we look at that and we explore the field of consciousness, we get to look at lived experiences as the most notable connection to truth. So I want to invite you to tune into your thoughts really quickly, or even just a recent thought. Maybe you've had some repetitive thought patterns. I would like for you to just bring those into your awareness for a moment. And I would like for you to tune into the shape of it. Maybe you don't see the shape, but you have a subtle, like an intuitive hunch as to what the shape is. Allow that. And as it's coming in, is it expanding? Is it growing larger? Or is it collapsing? Can you feel its geometry? Once you are aware of its geometry, I want you to tune into the tonality. Is the tonality of this thought form accepting? Does it expand in acceptance? Or does it collapse under the weight of judgment? Maybe it collapses under the weight of scarcity and lack, or guilt, shame. One of the biggest lessons that has been most present right now is to recreate the story of the thought so that you reshape how your reality is formed. And I know this might seem very elementary, it might seem very basic, but I cannot tell you how powerful this is. If you invite that which is heavy in judgment into the gateway of acceptance, you just accept it. That's all. You don't have to do anything with it. If you've been having heavy thoughts and those thoughts have been based in a heavy emotional charge, just bring it into acceptance. Allow your nervous system to remember what it's like to be unconditionally open and receptive. Because as a collective, we have been very closed off. We have not been receptive. If I'm operating from a place that's consistently projecting, then I have beliefs and I have thoughts that you have to hear about. And only my thoughts and only my beliefs are valid. Or if someone comes and they have a differing opinion or a differing belief, do you challenge them or do you just allow them to express themselves? That's an open space of acceptance. You get to believe what you believe. I get to believe what I believe. We still get to exist in harmony, in resonance. Acceptance is the gateway to that. So if you have a lot of judgment coming up around your own thoughts, and this I know has come up from my own group space around the 7 sins or the 7 shadow aspects. There's a reason why we hear about the 7 sins. There's a reason why Yeshua in the story of the Bible, there's a reason why everyone remembers those. Out of anything else, even if you're not a religious person, I'm not religious, I am conscious and I am spiritual, if you will, but I'm not religious. but I honor the truth that's hidden there. If we just open it up for a moment. If I choose to operate unconsciously, then I'm consistently projecting my beliefs from a state of pride. And I'm not aware of what another person is actually bringing to the table, because I have already decided that whatever they have to say, it's not valid, it's not worthy, it goes against what I believe. Therefore, they're not entitled, because it is a state of entitlement with pride. And then wrath, envy, all start coming into play. Eventually that gets really heavy. It breeds gluttony. It goes into, and then sloth, just becoming lazy under the weight of the carried judgment. There is a reason why we are meant to be aware of these shadow aspects. So I want to invite you all into a practice really quickly. And this is something that came in today, and I'm really excited to play in the field of practice with this. And this is visualizing a triangle. And as you visualize the triangle, again, visualization doesn't have to actually be an image. You can just simply accept that you know what a triangle looks like. You do not actually have to see it. So I would invite you to just close your eyes and allow the triangle to come into your awareness. And I want you to imagine that it is a triangle of projection, reception, and coherence. This is your reality, okay? Your reality is within the triangle. First and foremost, I want you to collect within you an intention. Maybe this intention is to be healthier. Maybe it's to eat better. Maybe it's to be more active. Maybe it's to be more receptive and open and supportive of others. Maybe it's to be more loving and compassionate. But bring that intention to the forefront. And then I want to invite you to review your core belief around your intention. Let's say your intention is to be more loving and compassionate. Do you actually believe in a state of free love and compassion, meaning you don't expect anything in return for what you give? You don't expect anything in return. You just simply accept and allow that you are the state. Or do you have beliefs that are connected, as we all do, to the intention? I would invite you to review what you are holding on to in that belief. That's what's going out in your projection. And if there's anything in that belief that does not feel aligned to the intention, give yourself permission to go ahead and recreate the belief. Create a new story. You don't have to carry that belief around. You can actually recreate it at any moment. And in the moment that you choose to do so, that's when all other realities collapse. So make the choice to recreate the belief, align it with the intention, and then trust. I want you to feel that belief in that intention going out into the world. I want you to feel yourself as an open space of receiving, because you are. You are the electric magnetic currents. You put it out and you receive it back. And feel in your body if there's any tension or any resistance to what you're putting out. If so, pay attention to that. That's going to be those core beliefs that are preventing you from actually magnetizing that intention with clarity, with faith, and with the highest point of purity that is possible in this moment. And just become aware of any state in your body that attempts to reject it. And then just take a deep breath, breathe into the body, reminding your nervous system that's already here now. You're not actually waiting for anything. You're just accepting that it's already done. This is a good practice to be in tune with what your intentions, what your thoughts, and what your body is holding in every moment. Obviously, you're not going to do it every single moment, but it is a good practice throughout the week to incorporate, to come into the triangle of thought, which is your reality, where you have coherence, that's the belief. You have the projection, which is the intention. And then you have the reception. That's the trust and the faith that it's already done. So that's a good practice, the triangle. That's your reality. And you're always, and as we see, as above, so below, right? So when you hold the triangle up here, when you hold the reality up here, and you're aware of what that reality is holding, then as you put it out, you hold it in your body through the receptivity of presence and awareness. So as above, so below, allowing it to go out, allowing it to come back. And as it comes back, as you receive, you're going to be given opportunities to be aware of any old outdated patterns that are already showing up in your 3D. And that's something that's very important, remember, because the entire world is your mirror. So you want to allow those lessons to come. You want to allow yourself to see, okay, am I open to receiving everything that's showing up? Because I already know where my reality is. And I'm consistently aware of where I am intending my reality to form. And I give myself permission to consistently check in, be aware of that, and also be aware of any lessons that come back to you. Lessons are not challenges of, like, you don't want to think of it as right or wrong. You're not trying to pass a test. It's simply an opportunity to learn. That's what the lesson is. It might be. I'm not sure, Mariah. In this instance, we're just using it as a geometrical symbol to access the thought process of reality. So I'm sure it's linked to many other things throughout time, and that's okay. We get to allow that to be an opportunity to learn and grow too. So one thing that I would also invite in all of these practices are being aware. Now, this is a basic, what I just offered forward right there is a very basic practice. But I want to go into how this connects us to our cosmic DNA, our universal DNA, and our inheritance of our divine template as what most people are really focused on in the spiritual community. First and foremost, your body is the divine template. You carry everything already. You're not trying to gain access to something out there. It's already right here. It's just you have an overlay of thought patterns and beliefs that are blocking your ability to receive. Oh, thank you, Mariah. I love you, beautiful. I'm so happy that you're back. I really am. Thank you. I'm so grateful that I can offer something. I really appreciate that. So when we look at our DNA is a library of vibration and tone. So at the end of this, I'm actually going to express some tones, and all of those tones are vibrationally attuned to the wisdom I carry, which means that I'm speaking right now, and what I'm speaking right now is my tone. It is the wisdom. It is the daily practice, but most importantly, it's the lived truth. We say that we know what truth is, but I will challenge anyone that if you're carrying information and you're calling it truth and you have yet to live the experience, I would challenge you to be aware of that. Truth is lived. It lives through you. It lives within you. You don't have to explain it to anyone. You don't have to try to pull a card of knowledge from your pocket and present it to somebody as if you know what you're talking about. When you actually live an experience, which we all do, you are the library of wisdom. It's not about what you know. And I feel like that's the kind of like the rallying cry that's been in the spiritual communities, is this consistent challenge of what you know versus what I know. But it gets to be a consistent invitation where we all get to come together and explore and celebrate what we know together as a lived experience, because there are experiences that other people have had that I haven't had, and they can share their wisdom from those experiences. Not just that, but their voice every time they speak, just like yours. Every time you say something, you are the source. You are the vibrational, harmonic, resonant tone that calls everything into your service. You are the one that has created this entire simulation. You are the one that has played a role in creating the earth. Everyone says they're a part. Like, I remember I used to be really attached to that status of, oh, I'm one of the original creators of earth. It's amazing. It's amazing how much I used to identify with that. Now I see it as we're all a part of that. We're all a part of that. We're all the creators of the earth. How can we not be? Every single thought, every single belief, that is what the earth is. The earth is a data stream of information, and we're all feeding the stream, which means that there is not one original source. We're all the original source, and together we are all source, which I guess technically means there is one original, and that's all of us as the source. Sure. What would you like to know about star seeds, my love? So I can just speak into some things from my own perspective and my own understanding, if you would like. And thank you for offering a question. If anyone else has one, I would invite it in. So basically, this is something I used to explore many years ago, and I haven't actually gone into the exploration of the information that's out there now. But as a star seed, it, like, for me, I'm going to offer, because I feel like that's the best wisdom, is personal experience. As I said, that's of truth, instead of trying to recall information that's been read, that's an explanation. So for me, energetically, I have not experienced the earth school that much, but I have experienced many other schools where the karmic patterns are very similar. Meaning, and also too, I've been on a journey of karmic mastery for a long time. So for me, and when I go into a state, I guess I've been, energetically, I guess you could say the identity that's most closely related to my tone would be indigo. And that's an indigo child, which is a state of consciousness, which is exactly what star seeds really are. It's a state of awareness or a state of consciousness that where they're not committed to the school of earth, but they're journeying throughout different planetary systems to gain experience. So star seeds are on a consistent journey, traveling through different star systems to gain experiences. Now, this comes from a physical representation of actual travel and experience, but if you want to expand that into a broader perception, it actually is reviewing it from a state of lessons and experience, soul journey. So star seeds are souls that are consistently basically trying the flavor of different schools of experience with no specific attachment to any of them. So for me, I fall in that range, meaning I don't have an attachment to earth. I love it. It is a beautiful school of experience, but I don't keep coming back here. This is my first time here. It will be my only time here. I'm already fully aware of my moving on and moving out. So that is where the experience comes in. So star seeds also too. Now I know a lot of times people have given a lot of different identity factors to star seeds, like Palladians, Arcturians, some of their personality traits. I don't go into that. That's not, I feel like there is tons of information out there if you would like to look into it, but that starts to categorize and block people off. And I have energetically moved in an experiential pathway that doesn't want to give people too much of an identity or a status. So I do feel like we're all that are here. And we're not just here in a physical way. We are here as a form of thought. That is what our soul is projecting into this space, or rather our oversoul, our higher self. It's projecting a part of us into a simulated experience. And your choices are the karma. That's why I say lived truth is your most powerful source. It's your wisdom. The source that you carry within you that nobody else has is your lived experiences. Knowing your choices, knowing the choices and why you made those choices. And if you go through life and you're not aware of why you're choosing what you're choosing, well, then you're still operating from an unconscious state of slumber. But if you begin to awaken into why you're choosing what you're choosing, then you're giving yourself permission to acknowledge your karmic path. That's where the soul gains its lessons, and that's where the soul gains its growth. Well, my love, I don't operate from a space of proof. I'm operating from a space of experience. So this is all stuff that I receive internally. So therefore, the way that it is for me is that I accept what I am based on my own experiences, and it lives through me every single day. And I feel like that's the only proof we need. We have to star seeds. That's where the collective gets caught up with needing to determine who's this and who's that, because you're looking for proof, right? So if you remember in the triangle of thought that I introduced, welcome Fatima. In the triangle of thought, one of the foundational corners is faith or trust. So if you're harnessing faith and you're harnessing trust, then you don't look for proof. You just accept that every experience that you have is the proof. So just this conversation right now, that's proof. It's proof because you're experiencing it. It doesn't have to live out there somewhere and look a certain way. So that's a good opportunity to learn and grow. If you so choose, you don't have to, but that's just my guidance. Okay, so I want to, and that's okay. I mean, and that's it, where I'm speaking from. Just before I move forward, then I'm going to channel some things, and we're going to go into some tone. It's not about being practical or not being practical. It's just simply an opportunity to experience. If you're enjoying this experience, then you allow that to be all the proof that you need, right? Instead of needing to put it in a box. So I would invite each of you right now to review some of your choices. Let's just look at, I know a lot of things that have been coming up, as I mentioned, around the 7 sins. A lot of the things that have been coming up in the group space have come from this space of recognition of what's in motion. One of the things that I heard was most present in the, shall we say, the masculine. It's been in operation to the masculine, is we have these different, we have different patterns, both of the sins, both of the shadow aspects, obviously, in motion through the masculine and motion through the feminine. The interesting part is that because we've been closed off, the feminine actually has not been an open receiver. She's actually been a very, very closed off part of the projection. She has not been able to, as we say she, because we identify it as a female, but technically feminine is just receptivity. It's not a woman, just as masculine isn't a man. But to make it easier to receive here, I will use those connotations, he and she. So this means that she has been closed off, and there's been a consistent barrage of projections, the belief of what we think receiving is. A lot of times someone will give us something, and that person will say, well, because I gave it to you, it's an offering. But not everyone wants to receive what they're being given, which means that if a person is not in pure receptivity, they're not aware of what the other person is even open to receiving to begin with. This was a big thing of mine. I love giving, I love sharing the wisdom of my experiences. I love it. But I used to overwhelm people with that because I would assume that because we were connecting, that they wanted to receive all of that wisdom. But that wasn't the truth. I wasn't attuning, I wasn't being aware, not that I couldn't, but I wasn't choosing to be aware of where the receiver lines actually existed. And the truth is that if a person is still operating, if any of us are still operating from these programmed shadow aspects, our receiver lines are closed off. We feel overwhelmed. We say, I've got too much on my plate. I can't take any more. I can't receive anymore. I've got too much going on. That right there is a proclamation that your receiver line is shut off. When you proclaim that you can't, you're automatically putting yourself in the state of the victim where things are too much and there's always something happening and it's just you can't take anymore. And that's a victimhood state of operation. It's a shadow aspect. And because those words are declared, I can't or I won't, well, more importantly, let's say I can't, that energetically brings to you more chaos, seeming need, where I need to have more to fix this problem. And you become increasingly anxious and overwhelmed. And a lot of the times people say, well, I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to be doing, right? I'm practicing, mental saturation, or I'm affirming, or I'm listening to subliminals, or I'm practicing the daily rituals and I'm doing the meditation. And my one thing I'm going to say is always going to be the same. Where is your belief system? Do you have you even acknowledged the belief system, which is the operating machine? It's the machine that's operating everything. It's one of the corners of that triangle, because any intention that you have is directly connected to your system of beliefs. So you may think that you are doing everything with the best of intentions by practicing and doing all the different things, but then you're still feeling overwhelmed, you're still feeling burnt out. And it's because those core beliefs have not been, they haven't been fully rewritten, because you have not allowed your shadow aspects to pass through your awareness. That's where, in the state of presence, you allow everything to be seen and reflected back, not just what you receive in private. That's why we have mirrors. You allow your reflection to come back to you in a myriad of ways. And if you close yourself off from those reflections, you're only going to like the way it feels when you hear and see things a very specific way. And anything that challenges that, you're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel like it's too much. You're going to feel like it's barraging you, because you have fractals that are going out into the world from that unconscious state. It's a part of the belief system that's an operation of the reality triangle. It's passing through your intention, but because you're unconscious of it, when it comes back, it feels overwhelming. And that's a really good, thank you for dropping that in, Becca. So when Becca was asking the question, and was that one of the questions that I dropped in, or was it one of the questions that I spoken in, just out of curiosity, that I've spoken into here? That way I can reflect it for others. Becca mentioned, I feel that once that I open the floodgates, it will be too painful. So that's opening the floodgates into feeling. And this is also something we were, I know, sharing privately before the session here today. And so let's expand on that. This is where a lot of people are. A lot of people are afraid to feel, because especially if you're usually busy. Okay, so it was from okay, that's what I was feeling. So really quickly, just for context, there was a private exchange between myself and Becca. And she mentioned, when I had dropped in some stuff for my group space based around the 7 sins, or the 7 shadow aspects, she dropped in that she hadn't responded because she felt that it was too much. She'd had a lot coming up and it felt like too much emotion to feel it. So let's explore that. Have a lot clearing just from speaking into this. So I hope you will as well. So when you run away from your shadow, if you're constantly busy, if your day is full of work, of family, of conversation, of social media, if you're always doing something, your attention and your awareness is not present. It's there in the fractals. It's running around. It's giving itself here and there, but it's not here. It's out there, right? So when you're finally called in to review something, when you're finally called in to acknowledge, then all those fractals are going to come back to different places that they were sent out. And then you're going to be in the space of feeling all the parts of you that you don't normally feel, because they're normally going out. They're trying to do things. They're trying to support everyone else. They're trying to work. They're trying to tend to family. They're trying to catch up on social media. They're always trying to do things. And then they're brought in. They're invited in. So what happens when you land? What happens when you anchor? Well, then you start to feel. Then your nervous system becomes aware of itself. Your nervous system begins processing from a different state. The floodgates, if you will, they're always open. You just might not be aware of it. You're not aware of feeling if you're always busy doing, if you're always focused in thought on other people, if you're always focused in thought on other things, if you're always focused in thought on needing to go and take care of things, you're always running away, because your thoughts are going out here without an awareness of what's in here. So it is going to feel a bit intense, but it doesn't have to be painful. So then you ask yourself, well, why do I believe it's going to be painful? Why does it have to be painful? Why have I chosen to identify with it as being painful? Why have I chosen to label it in that way? Can I not label it a different way? Can I not accept that feeling is compassionate? That feeling is wonderful, that it feels so good to be in presence and feel. And I love to feel all the things that my nervous system shows me. Even pain can be a state of joy and awe and wonder if you listen. Because then it's not just about the pain, it's about the story behind the pain. Most people don't tune in to listen. That's what I've been doing when a migraine comes up, as difficult as and uncomfortable as it is. If you've ever had a migraine, I've been realizing why the migraine was triggered. Just for instance, there were parts of me that were unrealized that I was carrying, that was creating a trigger through my nervous system, which then exhibited as a migraine. And so a lot of this was happening through sloth, gluttony. My nervous system was dead to feeling, and it needed something to make it feel better. That's why we go to social media. That's why we go to doom scrolling, because when we see happy stories, we feel happy. When we see sad stories, we feel sad. We read a post and it uplifts us. We have become emotionally attached to feeling through an outlet instead of being in the presence of feeling, true feeling, which does not need an external negotiator. It doesn't need an external factor. You don't need anything out there to make you feel. If you do turn into feeling, your shadow isn't where the pain lives. The projection of you onto the shadow, what you think the shadow is, what you think the feeling is going to be, that's the pain. The shadow is just the space of unrealized self. It doesn't hold anything other than that. It doesn't identify in any way. So you and you alone, as you've always been, as the source, determines how you approach the shadow. Gluttony, sloth, pride, envy, wrath, lust, it doesn't have to be bad. Is it a sin? Is it a shadow aspect? Absolutely. What's wrong with that? Nothing. What's right with that? Nothing. It's just simply an experience, but it's unrealized. The reason why it's in shadow is because we end up going there because we don't realize it beforehand. We don't catch it in our awareness and say, oh, that's what's in motion. Yeah, I think I'm going to rewrite that story. I think I'm going to recreate something a little different. And that's why our awareness is, if you think of anything as your infinite source of power, your awareness, you are awareness. Everything about you is awareness. Your nervous system is awareness. Your presence and awareness together as your power of yourself, as the source, you can recreate anything. You can create anything. Actually, you can create from within anything. Everything that's created is already created. So you don't actually, shall we say, create anything, but you create from within it. So when you step into the triangle, you realize, what does your reality look like right now? What are you attached to? What is it that feels like it will be too painful because you have identified it in such a way? What lens are you viewing the world through right now? Is it a lens that believes that things will be painful to feel? Because then, if so, that lens is going to prevent you from ever feeling if you don't recreate it. So we recreated that feeling is wonderful. I walk through the day saying how good it feels to feel. I'm so grateful even for the pain, because when I'm in that migraine, I can hear the story my nervous system is screaming at me because it's so loud, and my nervous system is telling me all the things that it's been trying to tell me, but it took this moment, it took this migraine, it took this experience for me to listen. That's what pain is. Pain pulls you into the state of awareness. So does discomfort, especially if it's around emotions, right? Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I had to refresh the questions. So, okay. Good question, Mariah. Sorry, I didn't see this. Um, okay. All right. Good. Wonderful, Becca. So, in the midst of this, Mariah said, if God is available in this world, then why do people suffer so much pain? This is the biggest, and I feel like one of the most powerful lessons I can offer is that God's not separate. People suffer because they choose. Remember, suffering isn't external, it's internal. It's not God that's heartless. We are all God. We are all God in motion. So to believe that God is external is to separate you from yourself. People suffer because you have to remember that external story is part of a belief system that actually believes in suffering. God didn't give me the migraine, I did. It's not suffering. I don't see it as suffering. I see it as a blessing and opportunity to hear the story. See, that's the difference. Nobody gives me anything. Nobody gives anyone anything. God is not anything out there. I am God. You're God. Becca's God. We're all God. God isn't up in the clouds somewhere. He's not out there. It's not some operant external power. It's the internal operant power. God doesn't make people suffer. We, through our belief systems of judgment, project the suffering, and the story is then born from that. The suffering is born from the story, because people still believe in separation. People still believe in the sins. People are still operating from the sins. That's why the stories exist. That's why the suffering exists. Because internally, the only way that the external suffering, or let me restate that. The only way the external suffering that you're seeing, the only way that that can change is if you change the story in here. So pain is not suffering. Suffering is suffering. Pain is a teacher. Suffering is a part of unconscious realization. If you allow pain to speak to you, you will learn so much. Ask your body, what is the story? What is the story? Pain is a gateway. Thank you, Anton. Have a beautiful day as well. Exactly, Becca. Pain is a gateway. So let's look at the suffering that the collective is undergoing right now. If I live internally without the realization of my internal dialogue, So that means that I'm unconscious. I don't know why I do what I do. I just do it because I want to do it. That type of unconscious action and behaviorism, that's how we accrue karma. And you accrue karma because you make choices. Technically, you're agreeing to choices. You're agreeing to a pathway of experience, but you're not aware as why. That's an unconscious existence. The Also, most people that exist that way believe that God is out there or somehow doing something to people or somehow saving people from something. But if anything, reverting back to like at least the religious teachings, the one beautiful thing that Yeshua was teaching as a master was that God is internal, the Father is internal, the Mother is internal, the child is internal. Mother, Father, child, the Christ, that is an internal state of realization. My mother and father aren't out there. God isn't out there. The mother, the father, as well as the inner child all live in me. I carry the structure. I carry the template. I am. I am. That I am, that is God. That is creation. I am the source. When I recognize myself as the source, meaning I am responsible for my pain and I am responsible for my suffering, that is me as God, where I don't look to God to save me and I don't look to God as a source of blame, because then I'm externalizing, because then I believe that things are just happening to people, not through people. We are all a byproduct of our choices, our pathways of experience, our lived truth, the triangle of reality. We are the source. We are God. That was within the teachings of every master that has ever come in, saying the same things that I'm saying now. You have the power to create. And your belief, again, the triangle, remember I said that one of the corners is faith, belief. That's what's all in the Bible. That's what's all in the religious teachings. Faith is the gateway. Because then, if you understand yourself as the source, if you know that you are the one that is creating everything that you experience, then you become aware of your intentions. You take a conscious responsibility for your actions. You understand what you're projecting. Exactly, Becca. You also understand that everything that you put out into the world comes back. Christ consciousness is a state of consciousness that realizes itself that I don't have a mother out there. I am the projector of the reality. I am the projector, which means I see my mother out there. I see my father out there. I see people out there suffering. But why do I see people suffering? I'm the projector. I am the operant belief system. I can only see suffering if I believe in suffering. I can only see people in separate stations of life if I believe in that. When I look at the world with everything that's going on, do you want to know what I see? I see a beautiful blessing, because everyone is living out their own path of experience. And this life is a very finite school of experience. This isn't where you exist always. You're here for a moment to learn, which means that you journey on. We come here to learn, my love. We're here to learn. We're here to learn that we are the operant power. You see, we are so used to being the source that we have to pretend otherwise. We have to pretend that there's death and killing and all these bad things. We pretend it. It only exists in the imagination of the belief system. It's the only way to have an experience of yourself as something other than the purest operant power that exists in existence. It would get kind of boring to just be the existence all the time. So you're here to experience. You learn because it gives your soul depth. To hold a different perspective, to hold a different lens, to see yourself in the world differently, that's a gift. So my challenge to you is that, can you leave this session today and go out and choose to see the world as a blessing, to see only blessings and not suffering? To remember that if you feel pain in your body, that you are the creator of the pain, nothing else. So ask your body. If you feel a certain way, ask yourself why, and then recreate the story. You are the one that's in control, nobody else. Nobody else is in control. And that's the biggest lesson. I don't have parents. I am the parent. I mean, I do, but I am the parent. As I repattern my nervous system, I relearn how to exist without codependency. I learn how to exist without projection of judgment and shame. I learn to exist as the source because I am the source. Welcome. So if I'm the source and I am the operant power and I am the creator, think of all the wonderful things. Because everyone has been thinking of nothing but the most horrible things for too long. And we think that that's the only way to think, is to think from a space of the worst that can happen. But what if you flip the script into what's the best that could happen? Then that triangle begins to take on a different meaning. Your reality begins to form itself from a space of excitement, awe, wonder. It's no longer structuring itself from suffering and judgment and shame. And there's so much separation already. That's the name of the game in the Matrix. That's why you see star seeds or indigo children. The reason why those are labeled is it's a stream of data, a stream of experience coming into a dense, unconscious pattern of experience. And what those of us that bring in, that have been on this journey and have been on many journeys like this for a very long time, our stream of consciousness provides an activation, a tone. It just kind of starts to ruffle the feathers and it says, hey, let's try something different. Let's try something different. There's been suffering. We've played the game of suffering. It doesn't mean you go all into everything is love and light. And that's definitely a place I've been. But everything is love, light, shadow, grief, suffering. It all exists. Can you accept suffering as an internal pattern that you create? Then suffering doesn't become something that's so bad. It's like, oh, well, if I'm doing it, then I can undo it. I can do something different. I don't have to suffer. And if I choose not to suffer, then guess what happens since I'm the projector? The world starts to change because I choose to hold a lens that doesn't focus on suffering. And I'm grateful that you dropped in. I really am. And we get to practice every single day, not choosing to live by the stories that are given to us, but to recreate the story ourselves. I choose to walk around and talk about how great I feel in my body. I choose to walk around and talk about how luxurious my life is and how I am in such a state of opulence and I have so much success and I am bathed in abundance, but I'm also willing and accepting to view the parts of me that don't operate in that way. I speak in a way that exists as the best that could ever happen, but I also love and accept the parts of me that don't operate in that way. Because then I can see everyone else as not some separate thing for me to judge. Everyone's choices are a beautiful path of experience. The wars, it's a karmic exploration because there's no such thing in death. Death doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. It's never existed. If you think that death exists, then you will go into a gateway of your own thought based on that triangle of reality, and you will move according to your belief and your thoughts. Same with birth. If we just look at how we create reality through the sensory perception, and we are projectors, are we actually giving life in that way? Or is it more about birthing an idea and watching it come into fruition to offer us a mirror of ourselves? Because that's really what a child is. It's your own inner child that's projected outwards. Your parents are your unrealized programs. The programs, the conditions, the right, the wrong, the good, the bad, that's your other mirrors. So you have the internal child mirror and you have the parental mirrors. They're all mirrors projected. You projected outwards. And your body is eternal. It doesn't die. Your true body. You have an overlay of all your beliefs. And if you remain in the density just of thought and not of awareness, your thoughts deteriorate your experience. Your body becomes heavy through time. You have the perception of dying. You have the perception of dying, but your body never actually dies. So what is there to be afraid of? If death doesn't really exist and you can create your reality, that's why Yeshua was like, okay, he knew he was going to be crucified. If you follow that story, just using this as a point of reference, it was a practice in accepting death without judgment because people were attacking him for spreading the word of the source, which is the law of one, which is that I am the source and you are the source. And if you recognize your beliefs, if you think your body is sick, but you believe that it can be healed, the gateway to a higher reality through that triangle is I have an intention to heal my body. I have the belief that it can be done. And then I have the faith that it will happen. That's how healing happens. That's how he healed people. He didn't heal people. They healed themselves. That was the gift, the empowerment. That's the state of that exchange. It comes from giving people the opportunity to see that they are the operant power and they do anything. And that was the story. That's what all that's the message that all masters present, is that you are the source. Now, to embody that state means to always be aware of your reality, to be aware of your choices, to be aware of why you do what you do, not just go do it because you think it would be good or you think it would serve, or you want to be aware of why you even think that way. Why are you going onto that pathway of experience? Are you neutralizing your karma or are you looping your karma? When you become aware of your actions, again, you're embodying a Christed state, which is the triangle of awareness. That's the Christed state. When you just do things, you think you know why, but you don't really sit with the why, then you could still be operating from some looped programming. So I hope all of these little nuggets that I've dropped in really give you an opportunity to maybe explore yourself and your reality a little bit more, maybe a little bit differently. If and also too, I want to drop this in. If we look at magnetism, electromagnetic currents, so the magnetism is the form, okay, and the pulse of electricity is thought. Hello and welcome. Oh, good, Samantha, you're here. I'll hang out a little bit longer. So when you have something that shows up in your reality, when you see it out there, that's a part of your magnetic current that allows you to see it take shape. Before that, you had an electrical pulse of information that went out. And so therefore, many times people are not aware of the electrical pulses, the electrical signals that they're sending out. They have unrealized thoughts. You may think that, oh, well, I know what I'm thinking. But do you? Because I guarantee you, you have a whole bandwidth of unrealized self expectations and unrealized shadow aspects that are operating. And the reason why they're not coming into your awareness is because you haven't called them forward. You have not allowed yourself to ask the questions which prompt the awareness to catch a hold. But it's a good practice. So I would definitely invite that in. And this means that when you're aware of the electricity of life going out, you're aware of the life that you are putting out as you are aware of the magnetic form that comes back. That's your body of memory. That's where you live it. When it becomes form, it's lived. Prior to that, it has to have life going out. So, electrical pulses are you putting out right now? What flow of change or charge is going out? What's your most operant bandwidth right now? This is also connected to a core belief. Remember the triangle of reality? Your thought is your reality. So whatever you mostly think about, that's the reality. It's based in coherence, which is your belief. It's also based in the intention or the projection of the intention. And then, of course, the other side there is the faith of receptivity. So if we look at this, and I know you guys hear it all the time, what we focus on the most, we experience, everything else collapses. But are you even aware of what you're focusing on? Do you really know the deep core beliefs that are in operation? That's my question to you all. So, and always remember, if you want a story, put a significant amount of intention into the thoughts that you're radiating. Sit with intention and saturate the field. Saturate the field. This is what everybody does in I guess like law, like everyone does this in manifestation practices. So saturate the field. Focus specific thoughts. I always get what I want. I always receive the best. I live a life that is luxurious and opulent. And or choose one umbrella. I would say one umbrella affirmation, like everything is always working out for the best. That's a good one. Everything is always working out for the best. And focus that as the structure of your intention. Everything's always working out for the best, no matter what. Everything is always working out for the best. Now, you also want to be aware that naivety can live under that. Meaning, if I just say that everything is always happening for the best and I just kind of leave it like that, then I'm not aware of anything else that's happening. And I just let everything happen and it just happens until something happens to me. And then I cry and then I get upset and then I want somebody to fix the problem because it's happening to me. So, how we cement that space or how we bridge that gap is we're aware of what's going out beneath that umbrella. So check in with yourself daily to see what belief system are my thoughts coming from. Do I say that I live in opulence, but I actually believe that I will never receive it? Because I can say those things and actually believe that it'll never happen to me, that it only happens to other people. And guess what? That bridge of my reality is always in motion, which means no matter what thoughts I put out, the only thing that I'm going to actually see is the same thing that I always choose to believe. Which means because I believe that it's only for other people, I'll only see it happening in other people. It's still a part of my reality, so I see it happening. I'm aware that other people live that way, but I don't experience it personally because even though I'm thinking it, I don't truly believe it. So it's still actually showing up because you're seeing it happen with other people, and they're your mirrors. They're the mirrors of what you believe. So in order for it to become something that you experience personally, you have to live as if it's already done. Create from a space of reality where everything is always working out and I have everything I need right now, which means that I don't chase anything. Start being aware of whatever it is you're attempting to chase, and be aware that every galaxy, every form, it's a byproduct of thought. Again, I'm going to use the Bible. Let there be light. Source recognizing itself as the operant power, recognizing its voice as the tone of creation, recognizing that the words become the form. Let there be light. Your voice is the power. You are the source. Therefore, become aware and illuminate. So we're going to go ahead and close this out today with some tones. And I would invite you, as the tones are coming through, I would invite you to feel your heartbeat as the electrical motion, sensing your body as the magnetic memory of your consciousness, being aware of any patterns that you carry that maybe are forming in a way that you would like to do a little bit differently. And then give yourself permission to feed into that state of what that different is. And just being aware of where maybe your life is asking you to move differently. A lot of times we're trying so hard to do things. We're doing things from a space of force. Like I'm making all the right moves. You know, I'm going to work, I'm doing the things, I've got 2 jobs, you know, I'm doing all the things. I'm meditating, I'm taking the classes, I'm doing all the things. But is that really what you need? Or is that just what you want based on what you think you need, because you're not aware of what you really need? And your life, your energy, your life force could be asking you to move differently. And you could be overstepping it with the need to control things. So please be aware of that. Okay, my loves, I'm going to ask you just to drop in and close your eyes. Giving yourself an opportunity to experience the tones as a space of reception and projection. I'm projecting the tone and I'm receiving it back, and you have an opportunity to do the same. It's what I've been doing this entire time as I've been speaking. I've been projecting my tone of wisdom. And I hope that for everyone, it feels like a space of not only free receiving, but free giving in return, as I hope to receive everyone equally. And thank you for all the beautiful questions that have dropped in. I really appreciate it. You have asked some very beautiful questions, Mariah, and I'm very grateful that you did. Thank you. I know this is, we just recently connected, and I'm grateful to have you here as a student, as you said, and I'm grateful to be a teacher. But I am also a student. I'm not just a teacher, I'm an eternal student. So as you drop deeper, just feeling your feet on the ground, if you have an opportunity, just maybe take your shoes off, or just placing your feet on the ground if they're not already. Allowing your sensory perception to connect to the earth, which is technically your own field. Just allowing yourself to connect to your own field. The earth is your field. It's not just some physical thing that's floating around that's separate from you, and it has a field and you have a field. You're coherent. It's why we hear in certain, like in science and communities, that your field syncs up, grounds with the earth. Well, that's because you're one and the same. It's a reminder when you ground to tune into the presence of yourself. So that's me just handing your power back to you. Not trying to dictate anything. I'm just offering you an opportunity to receive yourself. And as you ground, just giving yourself permission to become aware of what it feels like to be present in your body. Becoming aware of the sensations, maybe it's hot, maybe it's cold, maybe there's some stiffness, maybe some pain. You don't want to be agitated at the pain. You just want to be aware. Accept it. It's there. It's okay. Nothing wrong with it. You don't want to try to drown it out. You don't want to try to force it in the background because then it's going to become more loud. Same thing with any part of your body and any part of the way that you feel. You just simply acknowledge that it's there and say thank you. For now, we are just simply accepting its presence. You're more than welcome to review the story, and maybe it'll even come up during this process. And if you feel tension in any areas, you can just gently tap to open up the shoulders, just opening up the meridians, getting some blood and energy flowing there. And doing so on the chest as well, just getting your blood and your energy flowing and opening up the nervous system, top of the head. Tapping the chakra points. And kneecaps and legs. And just also gently rub and allow the sensory perception to open. This is awakening your nervous system. It's awakening your sensory perception. And then just take a deep breath and open into that space. And I want there to be an awareness that the tones that follow are coming directly from the DNA, which is the wisdom that I am, the libraries of wisdom that I am, which are both planetary, cosmic, and universal. When I speak, the tone is already present. This is just an opportunity to experience it as the words form a singular bandwidth. And just take a few deep breaths in. And feel yourself, imagine yourself within the luminous triangle of reality. Your triangle of both light and shadow, above and below, within and without. Placing yourself right in the center. You are the center, you are the source, you are the eye of the storm, you are the tree of life. You are the planet, you are the stars, you are the cosmos, you are the universe. It's all here right now, within you. Truly, it's here. You project it out there, but it lives within you. And just feeling your body going deeper into a state of relaxation, opening and available to receive. And I would just invite you to please declare, I accept, I receive, I accept. Thank you. Giving yourself an opportunity to be fully present in your body. And the only reason why I invite eyes closed is because it turned your attention fully inward. Well, thank you, Mariah. Thank you, beautiful. Just relaxing deeper and Let's begin now with the sounds of the tone, and you're more than welcome to join in by making, or you don't make it, but you openly express your own tones, your own sound. Vocalize your source. And just becoming aware of the sensations and the vibrations in your body. Feeling lifted. I'm starting to feel lifted. These tones will feel like you're receiving a massage, a chiropractic adjustment, and some vibrational attuning all at once. These patterns move through the body and open and activate dormant information strands. All carried within the vibrational overtone of my oversoul, which is Eowasi Ein An, which is a sound. They're all sound, vibration on. That feels so good. At this point, my spine is like water. My body moves on its own. And I'm placing into my awareness the intention of unconditional abundance, peace, prosperity. And of course, the experience of itself, which is harmonic resonance. Some of it is in connection to that. I've already realized my energy, but the sound is a reflection of that realization. So you can open your mouth and also, just as you would speak words, allow the words to become a vowel. Ah, eh, oh, and feel the vibration. My voice already carries the realization. This is simply an opportunity for it to come with a greater well, I don't want to say greater potency because it's just a different type of potency. When I speak, it's already activating. In this way, it's activating, but the attention is fully inward, not focused on words, but experiencing the vibration of sound. Because sound isn't just heard, it's felt. There goes my body. My body's moving on its own. See, I can hear various overtones. I'm not for sure if anyone else can, but as I'm expressing the tone, I can hear at least three different layers to it. There's the ah in the sound of my voice, and then there's two other layers to the ah that I would say are cosmic and universal. They sound a little bit more metallic or machinic, if you will. I've had times where others have reflected back to me that they hear the masculine, like they'll actually hear a man, which is the counterpart to my own tone. This seemingly came through really powerfully when I was connecting to Archangel Michael, which I don't do that in that way anymore because I recognize that those angelic aspects are parts of our oversouls. But it was a beautiful opportunity to experience that during that time. And give yourself an opportunity to see. Do you hear it, Samantha? It's amazing. And I feel like, oh, I love that. Thank you, Becca. That's actually, it's interesting. Besides one, it's five is also my most predominant tone of overtone, soul overtone. So that's very interesting. And if you become aware, I'm not for sure if anyone else is experiencing this, but if you become aware of the seat, your root, for me, it feels like I'm magnetized to my seat. And the rest of me is just expanded from that space. And it's like a magnet is suctioning me in the seat. And the rest of me is just floating and moving. The rest of me is no longer, I'm not this rigid form. I'm like water. I'm vibration. I don't even feel my spine. Honestly, I don't feel my muscles. I don't feel my joints. I just feel myself as this fluid pillar that's just like if I were to lay in water, that's what it feels like. If I were to lay in water and I was weightless, that's how my body feels. And I'm curious, I don't know if anyone else experiences that but me, but I always do. But my butt, not just because I'm seated, but it literally feels like there's a magnetic suction holding me in place and I'm just rotating around that suction. And that's my anchor. That's my ground, my lower three chakras that are so grounded and anchored. Um, I feel like these tones just really emphasize and enhance that. I just love the feeling. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you all. I'm so grateful. I know we've gone well over an hour here. I was really going to keep it within an hour. So I thank you all for hanging in there with me. We'll do one more tone and then I'm going to wrap it up. So thank you all so much. I wanted to spend a little time here with Samantha as well. So thank you. I'm floating. And thank you, Dirk. Thank you, Mariah. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, Becca. Thank you all for receiving. And just to close this out, the beautiful, beautiful extension of my gratitude. I want to also say thank you to those that have donated. I have those that are reaching out donating just a little bit for these exchanges. And I want to say thank you. I will have the links to that in my description in case anyone feels like offering a few dollars. This is what I do and all I do. And also too, I do have my one-on-ones open now. So if anyone would like to schedule a one-on-one, you are more than welcome to step into the space. It is very similar to what you see me offering here, but of course, very much more personal and much more in depth. There will be toning, there will be deep exploration into the nervous system, and I have 3 different tiers available. I feel you, Becca. I feel you. The base seed is $88. The middle seed is $111. And the third seed, the abundant seed, is $222. I did have it set at $333, but I might leave that one open to $222 to $333 because some people have that capacity and are open to exchanging it. So I do want to leave that open because there is a lot that comes through and a lot that is available. And that's going to come through for each tier no matter what. So if you would like to step into a one-on-one, if you would like to step into a personalized session, please let me know. My email will be in the description, or you can reach me on Instagram. You can message me privately. I respond to everyone. And these sessions combine tonality like you're experiencing here, somatic practices, opening the body, uncovering the stories of the nervous system, reviewing what's held in the shadow, and then welcoming it into illumination so that you can hold a stable structure, your stable triangle of reality from a space of illumination. I know a lot of people are chasing cosmic and hierarchical principles right now, and I get that. But please know that everything that's in motion through you is your cosmic ancestry. Your connection to the Pleiades and Arcturus and Andromeda, it lives through you right now. You don't have to separate and go into the need to identify in order to recognize it. Thank you, Becca. Thank you. To understand those cosmic principles, we must first understand who we are first, or else we will bypass into needing to have a connection instead of allowing the connection to be realized internally. Thank you all for joining me. I love you all so much, and I am so grateful to every single one of you for showing up and choosing to receive. And for those of you that will be stepping into a one-on-one soon, I thank you. For those that will be signing up, I thank you. I love you. Until next time. Adonai.